I took this Zen Habitats cage and made it into the most beautiful Quince monitor cage that you will ever see. And today I'm going to show you step by step exactly how I did it. Stick around while we build this absolutely fantastic enclosure and get to see the Quince monitor swim for the first time. Let's get into it. Alrighty, boys and girls, so first up on the list, we are going to be talking about some ledges. Now, instead of doing a basic great stuff thing where you just kind of put great stuff and you call it a day, I wanted to add some ledges, making sure he could actually utilize the backdrop as well. So we got some styrofoam, and right now we're using one of those serrated bread knives. I find it cuts the styrofoam a little bit easier, it doesn't get caught as easy. And that's about it. We cut those bad boys out, and next up we're going to line it up. Where do we want these ledges? How do we want them to look? Only time will tell. Oh look, we figured it out. After this, what I did is I just got some painter's tape, and I'm going to double-side it so we'll be able to stick the little ledges up facing up so we can grate stuff it and keep it in place. You can try to balance it without using the painter's tape. I just find the painter's tape works a little bit better for you. After that, we're going to start grate stuffing. We start with you filling the gaps and kind of going around the ledges. This is going to help it hold in place because the painter's tape, as you can see, is it's pretty flimsy. It'll get knocked over pretty easily. So the first thing we're going to want to do is to grate stuff all those gaps in and keep that hold in place a little bit easier. After that, we have the fun part, and that's just filling up the entire backdrop. We don't want to see any of that little wood PVC type stuff. No, we want cool, cave-looking background. That's exactly what we're going to do. This took, I think, 5 or 6 cans. I think I only bought 3 the first run, and I got about this far. And then I was like, oh, I gotta go make another trip to Home Depot. So we kept filling it up and called it a day when it was finished. So, unfortunately, my camera actually fell into the grate stuff while I was doing it, so I stopped filming and just kind of finished it. Pretty much what we did afterwards, we started carving it out, so this is pretty much what the final product's gonna look like. The ledges were kind of sandwiched in for the grate stuff and the styrofoam, so we cut what we needed to. Don't mind that. I tried using the not pre-mixed dry lock and mixed it myself. It was a complete disaster. So for the dry lock for the sealing process, just make sure you get the pre-mixed one because you don't want it to end up like this. Then after about a week of sealing, we are finally finished with the sealing process. I used personally about 5 layers because, again, a Quince monitor is going to come in here. I know he loves digging out the enclosure, or digging out the background, so I figured 5 layers of dry lock is going to do the case. Usually you only need about 2 or 3. It kind of just depends on what species. If you are putting a more heavily bodied animal that just personally loves destroying backgrounds, I would definitely use a little bit more layers, but I think 5 is going to do the job. I pretty much used the entire can of it, which that was definitely something. After that, we're going to sweep up all of the little stuff. Some little great stuff when you carve out, it falls. We want to make sure it's all swept up. Then we're going to add the dirt. You can see it doesn't really matter if stuff gets on the floor because it's just going to be covered in dirt. Who really cares? So I didn't put any like paper down, so I'm like, it's getting filled with dirt. What's the problem? After that, we misted it, and then comes the crema de la resistance, the 40-gallon enclosure for the Quince. But there's a slight problem. As you can see, the background I made a little bit too fantastic. The 40-gallon didn't fit. This took about 10 minutes of trying. I basically just strong-armed it, if I'm being honest. I pushed it as hard as I can. I think I broke a little corner right there. You can see where it's just squished in there. But hey, that's okay. After that, we're going to add some more dirt, push some of that dirt back so then we have enough substrate going in behind the tank, and then also in the tank just in case the Quince wants to burrow. After that comes the most nerve-wracking part, and that's going to be filling the 40-gallon tank. Now, this is the most amount of water reservoir I've ever put over here at Dakota Blue Exotics, and I'd be lying if I didn't say that I was a little bit nervous about this. I mean, that's a lot of water. If anything were to go wrong, that would have sucked. So pretty much what we did is we filled it about halfway, and we put a little bit of a water test. I don't want this thing to leak. I don't want it to flood. Definitely not foreshadowing for a future episode where this becomes a complete disaster. So we did about halfway, and we left it there for, I want to say, about 2 to 3 days. Again, just trying everything we can to make sure that this is not one of those leaking tanks, and it's going to persevere for the years that we have for the Quince. And we got the filter in there. It is looking absolutely fantastic. Look how much room this Quince monitor has to dive under the water, swim around. This is not your little shoebox bin anymore. We are getting severe and real with our water features for the Quince. Afterwards comes the fun part, and that is going to be starting decorating the tank. We got this awesome pothos. I love how it looks inside of the water. Luckily, it's just grown. I've had this thing for years at this point, and just kind of moves enclosure to enclosure. We're going to start putting some branches in. Unfortunately, the really cool one didn't fit. Luckily, we got the Baggins blade with all our might and all our things slicing it, and unfortunately it didn't work. So we started using the big guns, a saw. But that also didn't work, mainly because I don't know how to use a saw. So we tried to double up, do a little bit of a mix in that. We got Baggins blade, handsaw motion going on. It doesn't look like it in the video, but I promise you, we were making progress. Eventually, after me trying to figure out a handsaw, we did it. It cracked open. Perfect. Look at that. Awesome little ledge. We got a stick over here. I wanted to put it right above the tension surface of the aquarium because I want the Quince to be able to get out of the water easily. Definitely don't want anything where he's like unable to get out and all of a sudden some bad stuff happens. But here is the finished product. Absolutely amazing. Real quick, guys, before we continue on with the video, I just want to give a huge shout out to today's video sponsor, Zen Habitats. Zen Habitats is a company that makes custom-made enclosures for your reptiles. These enclosures come in a variety of different sizes, starting as small as something like a 2x2x2 all the way up to a 4x2x4. But in my opinion, the best part about Zen Habitats is going to be the customability you have. See, with Zen Habitats, they have what they call extension kits, which means this 4x2x4 and this 4x2x4 can be combined and then making a 4x4x4. The possibilities of different sizes are absolutely endless. I guess as long as your parameter is at least 2 feet. But other than that, I mean, you can make them as big as you want to go. You want a 20x10x12? Go for it, as long as you get the Zen Habitats. And really, I think the best selling point for Zen Habitats is going to be their fast shipping. Now, when you talk about other PVC companies or companies like Zen Habitats, you're going to be waiting for 6 weeks to, in some cases, 7 months. I've waited for PVC enclosure for 7 months. It's absolutely ridiculous. Not with Zen Habitats. In their in-stock items, you can expect to get that enclosure within the week. What more can I say? Fast shipping, great enclosures at a great price. If you guys want to check out some more information about Zen Habitats, I have my link right down there in the description. Your boy gets a small cutback if you do. I very much appreciate it. Let's get back into the video. There we got it, boys and girls. The Quince Monitor's new enclosure. This thing looks absolutely fantastic. Not entirely what I envisioned. I kind of wanted more plants. I didn't realize how big this was. I guess like 3 feet and 4 feet. It doesn't leave much room for ground plants, but that's okay. I wanted to make sure you had plenty of other arboreal spaces, so we substituted that for using live plants on the bottom and just have this little pothos trailing down into the aquarium. I think is a very nice and cool touch. Eventually, we are going to fully stock this aquarium with some fish. I'm thinking right now some plecos, red tip sharks, and just some like guppies, kind of like just cheap little fish. You'll probably go after the guppies, and it'll be a nice little enrichment meal for them, but I think the bottom feeders will be okay. The last thing to do here after, I think I've been working on this thing for like 2 weeks now, it is finally time to put the Quince Monitor in its new home. And here we got him, boys and girls, the Quince Monitors, Varanus Valinus, absolutely fantastic. Not too happy I pulled him. He was in his water bowl. He doesn't really like being disturbed out of it, so he's a little freaked out, but I'm sure in the next couple of seconds, he's gonna really enjoy this new place. Here we go, let's put him in. There you got it, boys and girls. It looks like this Quince monitor absolutely loves his new Enclosure, and by God, I certainly do too. I believe this thing is the best looking Enclosure we have over here at Dakota Blue Exotics. If that wasn't enough Monitor Lizard content for you, we actually have a playlist right here that goes into all of our Monitor Lizards that we have over the years, or maybe you want to check out this video right here where we first did this one. Definitely doesn't look as nice, but still is a nice video. As always, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to follow us over here at Dakota Blue Exotics. I will see you guys the next time, but until then, goodbye.